Hello everyone, my name is VoidDoctor and welcome back to another episode on the InfinityCraft server. And today we begin this episode in front of the storage hall, as we aren't really working on any projects right now, or at least we're not working on any projects on camera, any big projects, since I've pretty much finished up most of I've finished up most of the castle that I want to put on camera, because I'm still working on the underground section of the castle, as I'll show you in just a sec, but I'm not working on any part of the castle on camera right now. But speaking of the underground, I've been working on it quite a bit in between episodes, and it's pretty neat right now. I think it's pretty cool. It's got a pretty cool vibe. I want to put some waterlogged stairs and things down here, maybe some mossy stone bricks and things, but right now it's just a bunch of barrels, a couple rat tunnels, but then mainly it's the kitchen, obviously. So right here, or it's the kitchen for the Great Hall. There's a few kitchens in the castle, but you know, here you got a little washroom, some probably some stew. I don't exactly know what this is, but it looks like some stew over a fire, some beer brewing and some bottles or some barrels of beer, and got some got some like meat storage here. I was forgetting what I meant for that, what I intended that to be, but that's like meat storage. You got like a little food prep area and like a little area, you know, where they cook meat and things. And oh, also I've been using the armor stands data pack that we have installed, you know, just using vanilla tweaks here, just a little armor stands data pack to pretty much create like little you know, floating items, I guess you could say. You got like little got the sword sitting there, little bowl, so a bucket, and then here, if you go here, another rat tunnel leading into the kitchen, since obviously there's some food in the kitchen that's being prepped, so the rats would obviously want the food. Alright, on to what I'd like to do in today's episode. So the first thing I'd like to get done is just to get some sort of automatic melon, or just some sort of automatic pumpkin production going, because currently I'm producing a total of 0 pumpkins per hour, and I'd like to be producing somewhere around 100 pumpkins per hour. I don't exactly know how fast the farm I'd like to use is going to be, but I'd like to produce, I'd like to have some sort of automatic pumpkin production going so I can start getting decent quantities of XP again, because currently I have pretty much no way to gain XP, because before I ran out of pumpkins, because I was basically just using the leftover pumpkins from before I took out the melon, from before I took out the melon and pumpkin farm down here. But before I ran out of pumpkins, I was producing quite a bit of XP, or I was able to get quite a bit of XP, and then that also meant I was able to repair my elytra. But now I pretty much just can't use my elytra very much because I have no way to repair them. So the first thing I'd like to do is obviously get some way to repair my elytra, and that's obviously going to be pumpkins, because I can sell them to the farmers and they give me ridiculous amounts of XP. So yeah, the first thing I need to do to get this farm underway though is just to craft up all the materials that it's going to require, because I really don't like crafting redstone supplies or redstone resources, because they're just annoying to craft, because their recipes are so random. Alright, so I've gotten everything crafted up and put into the shulker box here. Fairly simple farm design, not many resources required to build it. And I think I want to put it here and maybe even take out this house, but this house, I might do something different with this house, I don't know. So I probably won't take this house out just yet. Also, this is just from me moving villagers. I've never actually put this back. But, yeah, so I think I'm going to put this here, probably take out this little raised section of the terrain here, probably build it here, and since we have 24 pistons and observers, we can go 6 here. This is just like a rough draft. This is like this isn't the farm design, don't worry. So it's a fairly simple design. And, you know, like just put one here, and then put them on this side too, and then stack them up 1, and that's 24. And that makes this a really easy farm design, and it should produce a lot of pumpkins and melons. So let's just see how this looks, and then we can go from there. So I actually am going to remove this house, because the building that I want to construct around this, it's kind of a complicated design, you know, and it's not just going to fit right within it's not just going to fit right around the farm. So I'm just going to remove this building. It's not super important to me. We're still going to keep that house over there, we're still going to keep that house over there completely untouched. Don't worry, because, again, I have a tradition of keeping one house in a village. Every time I renovate a village, I have a tradition of keeping one house untouched. Alright, folks, So I've gotten most of the farm finished. The only part that I haven't finished yet is this back collection system, but I'll just finish that after this progress update. Pretty much my idea for the farm area of this building is just to have it be like a big stone foundation, and then above this we could do something like my idea is kind of like a shorter section of wool, like a shorter second floor. So it's kind of reminiscent of the super smelter building from last year, where I think only like 1 or 2 blocks were wool, but it was mostly stone, and I really liked that look. So I kind of want to recreate that with this, except with a lot more standard shape, because last season building with that shape was really annoying, as was very apparent in that time lapse. So I'm just going to continue sort of laying out this stone foundation, and then of course putting this storage system back here. And may I just say, this thing is actually working really well. I mean, it's sure these stems are growing very fast, but they're growing fairly consistently, and since there's 4 of them, it is firing quite a bit, and they're linked up. But the fact that they're linked up doesn't bother me too much, since it's the same crop. The reason I didn't want the sugarcane farm and the bamboo farm linked up is because they grow at vastly different speeds. In this case, they grow at pretty much the same speed, so it doesn't really affect the performance of the farm very much to have them linked together. Alright folks, so it is now the next real life day, and you may notice that for the collection system right now, there's only the one in the front, and that's actually because the one in the back is just flowing into the one in the front, and it just makes it so much simpler to have the collection systems both flow into the same chest. And it just means I did it with the other farm too. It's because there's only one chest, and it also looks like the farm's producing a lot more than it really is, than it would with 2 separate collection systems. Just saying, it looks like there's bigger numbers. And to make this an odd numbered build, I actually I think this is still even here. I'll have to check that out. No, it's not. It's odd. But to make this odd numbered in this way too, I had to just make this wall 2 layers thick, and it doesn't look awful, and it also just it makes the build so much more aesthetically pleasing once we start getting the second floor built up. And that's exactly what I'm going to do right now, is just sort of start to get the second floor built up. It's gonna be fairly simple. It's gonna be like a main floor, I guess, because I want to basically make it so it appears that there's no way to get in to the ground floor from the bottom, because as you can see in the ground floor, I was planning on having this building take up more space and having like air gaps around here, kind of being able to walk around the farm. That's not the case. It was a bit larger than I thought it was going to be. It's still a very compact farm, but the farm's just slightly larger than I thought it was going to be. So there's no real room down here to kind of like walk around. So the bottom floor is just the farm, but I'd still want to have this sort of be a functional building just for like, the fun of it. So I'm just going to build a second floor on top of here and have probably a staircase to get up, just like a staircase on the side right here, or probably on this side actually, just to get up onto the second floor. But other than that, the bottom floor is just completely, it's going to be completely farm. So that's actually, I also think that's a pretty cool use of space, personally. So I'm just going to get building up the second floor. And of course the roof too. The roof's very important. I'm also probably going to have to do something about this, because right now this whole bottom floor just doesn't look very good. Alright folks, so the pumpkin farm building is looking quite nice in my opinion. I tried a new roof style and I'm really liking it actually. I like the sort of just textured oak logs. I think that looks pretty good, and I did do what I said I was going to do with a little staircase here, but I figured out that I sort of discovered this new little railing that actually looks really cool. I like how this looks, and yes, it's just a staircase, and there's no interior in here right now, but the rafters, they definitely work as that definitely counts as an interior, right? No, we'll do an interior for here, or we'll do an interior in here someday, but definitely not this episode. Probably just gonna do it off camera. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this whole building came together, and I've been just steadily taking pumpkins out of this farm. It's producing like a champ, and I've just been selling them to villagers to repair my elytra every time I need to. So look at this. It's fantastic. It's like free elytra repairs for a few pumpkins, and once most of those villagers are cured, so they'll give me so much XP for one pumpkin. It's crazy, and it's also giving me emeralds, which is awesome too, but like that's not even the point of doing this. I already have enough emeralds as is. Okay, I only have like 50 to my name, but most of the time, but when I'm not buying stacks upon stacks of bottles of enchanting, I have lots and lots of emeralds, so I don't even need the emeralds. I just do it for the XP. However, the next thing I'd like to do the next thing I'd like to work on in today's episode is obviously putting a building around this. I said I'd do it last episode, and I have no clue what kind of building I want to do. I honestly, this farm, it's pretty close to the to the storage hall. It's not that close. We have quite a bit of room here, but I don't want it to be a huge building. So I don't exactly know what I'm going to do, so I think I'm probably just going to test some designs in a, creative mode testing world. Maybe we can do some sort of granary, and if nothing works, if I don't like anything, we can put it underground and just get like a little granary going, like a, just a little granary tower, and have the whole farm underground. But that's really a worst case scenario, because I really don't want to dig a hole for this to go in. Alright folks, so you may notice that the sugarcane farm is looking slightly different, and that's just because I've taken out, or I've taken out the wall here and just slid it back this way a tad bit to make it a odd numbered build, which does mean that these chests are going to be angry. This is angering me, but they're going to be slightly off center, but I think that's fine, because it means we can make a much more aesthetically pleasing build, maybe have a much nicer roof on here or something. But the next thing I'd like to do is, of course, construct some type of shell around this, and I kind of want it to fit in with the storage hall, because we kind of have a theme going on around here, kind of these, I don't know, they kind of look like log cabins, or specifically the storage hall just looks like a giant cabin, or like a, giant mansion sort of cabin style thing. And so, yeah, maybe not use the exact same block palette, but use a very similar block palette, because I'm happy with how this block palette's come together, and I want to use it elsewhere. So, yeah, I think I'm just gonna get back to you guys with the progress report once I've gotten this whole shell put together, or at least part of it put together. And here we are, folks. So this ground floor sort of foundation area is done, and I don't think we're gonna do like a big, walkable second floor. We'll probably have like an attic where the roof is, but not like a second floor like the pumpkin farm has, because there is a bit of walkable space in here, so you can access the sugarcane farm's chest. And I did just get rid of the second chest down there, and I just had it so that the second storage, or so that this back minecart was just feeding directly in there. It actually just, it makes it a bit more simple just to get the items through, to have it like that too, which is a nice benefit. And instead of having one walkable space, there's actually two. This just makes it really easy to do maintenance on the farm, and I had to change up the farm's design a little bit, but this just makes it really easy to do maintenance on the farm, because before doing maintenance on this farm was quite difficult, or would have been if I'd gone with the original foundation design. But nope, just did this, left two little walkable spaces, except you can't get to the second one because this is the edge of the farm. So yeah, and I think the next thing we're going to do is obviously put a roof on this place. And I don't know, but I really want to use copper for this. I don't know if we're going to, but that would be so cool if we could find some way to integrate copper into this, because I love copper. The new copper blocks are beautiful. I haven't found a scenario where we can use them, because we've been really building in, it's kind of a stone sort of wood, very, actually kind of a realistic, not architecture style, but kind of a realistic block palette. So, except for obviously wool, but so I haven't really found a way to use copper blocks. But maybe if we can't use them here, I definitely want to use them in the future on a separate build, maybe just building in a different biome or something, maybe even next season, I don't know. But I want to be able to find a build to use them in the future, because they're so pretty. I don't know, I especially think oxidized copper mixed with raw copper, or not raw copper, but just regular copper, I think that looks the best. I don't like the two middle versions, the ones that are in between oxidization and not being oxidized at all. I'm not a huge fan of those, but I think if we could combine both the two ends of the spectrum, that would be awesome. But maybe we'll use it on this build, maybe not. Also, that's forever gonna haunt me, so we gotta put a door on this place too. Alright folks, so I'm actually really happy with how this whole roof area has come together. There's no attic in here yet. I'll probably just do that off camera because it's pretty boring. And I just think from the inside, this whole place, it's giving me, it's reminding me of the sugarcane farm from last season, sort of just the block palette itself. Not super similar, but just sort of the fact that it's also a really high roof just, again, reminds me of the old sugarcane farm from last season, except this one definitely isn't as productive, but still, it's still a pretty good farm, good for the early game, which I still consider us in the early game. It's only been like 5 months, and yeah, it's probably, I probably at this point should have designed a new sugarcane farm, but I don't have a use for a ton of paper, so I don't need that much sugarcane. I've never found myself really wishing I had more paper or sugarcane. So I think this is probably enough, and yeah, I'm really happy with how this build has come together. Specifically, again, the roof with sort of the drooping vines here, or just leaves in general, just make roofs amazing. I have them here, so the same roof style with like the leaves just sort of hanging off, and back here with the ground being a bit higher, kind of having the leaves drooping down a bit further, just looks cool. And also, I want to do something with this field. If you're wondering what this is from, I think Darkest Mind made this. And I just want to do something with it. I don't know what I want to do with it, but I want to make it bigger, and I want to make it more impressive and kind of make it a feature, because right now it sort of looks like it sort of looks like an eyesore. So we'll probably do that next episode. But folks, I think that's where we're going to leave off today's episode. I had a whole ton of fun actually designing these buildings. It's just nice to get some building in, you know. Not everything has to be, or some very light building in. Not everything has to be a big castle, or even not everything has to be a big project, you know. Just a couple smaller builds, some redstone, definitely a very nice time. So yeah, I feel like we did quite a bit today, and we got some building in, which is something I always like to do every episode, is get some building in, and always nice to do some technical projects. Even if we don't use them, or even if they're not like super technical, it's just nice to have some technical projects in there once in a while. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. My name, as always, has been VoidDoctor. Please like, subscribe, and share if you did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.